What's going on, horror fanatics? Welcome to I Shot Eat Six Times YouTube horror movie channel. As you know, I'm your host and creator of the channel, Marcus. If you have not done so already, please shoot this video or the stream a like. It definitely helps out with the YouTube algorithm. As well as if you happen to be a viewer coming across the stream, please shoot that like button as well as that subscribe button, as well as that notification bell so you get all of this content updates here to the channel. As well as if you would like to become a member here to the channel, please head over to the channel dashboard, shoot that join button, and choose what level membership best works for you. Okay, everybody. So I noticed it's like impromptu and all that stuff. Didn't even really get a notification out there and all that stuff. But I'm on my way to work, so I just figured I'd do like a quick live Q&A, on my way in. I'm actually going to walk in today instead of, catching the transit like I usually do and stuff because I wanted to do this for like an hour. And I know sometimes when we're having these long conversations, I can't get to everybody's comments, and stuff. So I figured, why not do at least close to an hour, if not the full hour, live stream Q&A, and I'll answer any one of your guys' questions, talking about anything horror related, whether it be Scream, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Crystal Lake, Jason, all that good stuff. You know what I mean? So anything horror related, just let me know if you guys have any questions. And as you guys know, super chats go to the front of the line. If you have a really important question you want to ask me, and the chat, is flowing and, I can't see your comment, send in a super chat and I'll be sure to answer your questions. It's a beautiful day out here for a walk, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie. It's a real nice day for a walk. I had a real good time last night talking to Eric, breaking down those scenes from Scream 4. That was a lot of fun. I did not expect to go like 5 hours last night. I really didn't. But as I always say, that's how you know you're having a great conversation. When you're pulling a 5-hour stream, when you only plan for like 2.5 hours, maybe 3 at the most, and it goes over, yeah, you're having a bomb ass conversation, not just with, whoever you have on as a guest, but with your live audience as well. I was really impressed by the turnout last night. Like, that was cool. We was up to like, there was at one point, I said the stream was going to end at 2 o'clock, and we ended up going to like 2:30. So it is what it is. And it was funny because Million, said that in the chat, and I thought that was hilarious because he's actually spot on. I'm really consistent with that. I'll sit there and say, okay, guys, we're gonna end the stream at like 1 a.m. and then the stream won't be done to like 2:30 in the fucking morning. So I mean, that's just how it goes here on the channel. Love it. I hope everybody's having a great day today. It's like I said, it's a really beautiful day out here. I was gonna, do what I usually do, catch the transit in, but no point in doing that. I mean, why not just go for a nice walk? It's beautiful out. Enjoy the spring weather while we have it, because you already know here in a few weeks it's going to be baking. It's going to be hot as fuck. So enjoy this nice 70, 75 degree weather while we got it, right? Here. All right, everybody. So I see right now, all right, so we just starting to get a couple people in. Like I said, I just started this stream, just an impromptu stream, basically. I mentioned it last night before I headed out, with Eric and stuff, that I was going to be doing a morning stream. And here we are. So I'm on my way to work. Don't mind me. I am walking in, so might be a little tiring, but I'm here. We're good. So any questions you want to have, me answer horror related, hit the comment section. Let me know what you guys are feeling. And you will hear some cars going by blaring their music. All right, so I'm good. All right, so anybody, if you come across this stream, like I said, this is just an impromptu live Q&A. Any hard questions you want to ask me, ask away. You know what I mean? If the chat ends up, catching fire, we get some people in, and then you have a question that I didn't see, send in the super chat. I'll make sure I get to all your questions as best as I can. But anyway, so real quick, while we are waiting for some people to hopefully hop in and stuff like that, I do want to talk a little bit about Saw. Now, I'm going to release the video later when I get some time on my break. But I do want to talk a little bit about some Saw X. And I talked a little bit about it last night with Eric from the Bearded Entertainment. And we talked about how basically, viewer Anon said on his Twitter channel that a friend at Lionsgate has basically said that the film Saw X is better than the original. And that sounds promising. Sounds good. But like I said last night, we got to keep in mind that that's a person from Lionsgate, They're going to say stuff like that. They're going to say stuff like, oh, yeah, we've seen the film and it's the best in the series. Why? Because they're an executive. That's their job. How many times have we heard executives say that about a movie? Oh, it's the best one in the series. It's the best one in the franchise. And then when we get to the movie, turns out not to be that way. At least some people might not feel that way, right? So, I mean, it's promising. I'm not here to bash it. It's good news to start. You know what I mean? It's definitely good news because that's what you want to hear. But I think when we're really going to get a good idea whether or not this movie is going to be any good or not, or quote unquote the best in the series, like they're saying it is, and stuff, at least viewer Anon's friend said, if it is anywhere close to that, we will definitely know once the test screeners get there. Because you guys already know how this is going to go. Once this film is available for test screening, those test screeners are going to let us know about it. You saw the job they did to Exorcist. So, I'm just saying, we'll find out how good Saw X really is. And hey, even the test screeners, you can't always take that with a grain of salt neither. I mean, or take that at 100% validation the movie is going to be good or not. That's from another person's point of view. You might exactly see the same exact movie that those test screeners watched, and if they didn't like it, you might like it. So even test screeners, etc., they're not 100% accurate, but they do give you a good general idea of how a movie might play out. And again, I think it's promising that Saw X is being dubbed the best in the series, but I want to determine that for myself. I think it's a possibility it could be. Absolutely think there's a possibility it could be. Nothing's off the table. There are some people who think that Halloween 2018 is better than the original Halloween. So it's not impossible to think that Saw X could be better than the original Saw. But again, for me, there has to be a multitude of elements to transpire for that to exceed the first one. The first thing for me, if Saw X is going to succeed the original Saw and be quote unquote the best in the series and better than that, because that to me is still my number one, what they're going to have to do is they're going to kind of have to come with an ending that is like 10 times shocking as the original, in my opinion. In my opinion, Saul's original ending, the first movie's ending, you can argue that might be the greatest ending in terms of a twist a horror movie franchise has ever had. Some may say that's a hot take, and hey, there's nothing wrong with you thinking that. But let's really be honest with ourselves. If you watch the first Saw film and you watch how that ending played out, you didn't expect John Kramer to be there the whole time. You didn't expect him to be, you know what I mean, in that same room as Dr. Gordon and Adam Stanheight. You didn't. None of us did. We thought that was a dead guy on the floor. And then he rises, you know, from his bloody grave and reveals that he's the guy behind everything. To me, that's that. Like I said, guys, that's up there for me as one of the greatest horror movie endings of all time. The original Saw. Like, that ending, in my opinion, it's got to be top 3 if it's not number 1. It's got to be top 3. But that's just my take on it. But that's rule number 1. For Saw X to be better, or quote unquote better, than Saw 1 or the best in the series. Number 2, especially if this is supposed to be like a legacy sequel, legacy requel, whatever you want to call it, I'm gonna say it's a sequel because it sounds like we're picking up after the events of 1. Like we're directly picking up after the events between 1 and 2, and that time gap between 2. Like, because we know for a fact there was a little time gap in between Saw 1 and Saw 2. So that's where this movie is going to be taking place. So I think in order for it to be, number 2, in order for it to be better than Saw 1, you do, in my opinion, have to have every single character, main character, that was in Saw 1. Yes, and I mean Adam Stanheight as well, Leigh Whannell. Yes, I mean that. And the reason why I mean that is because in between the events of Saw 2 and Saw 1, we don't know how long after the events of Saw 1 and right before Saw 2's events happened, Amanda, quote unquote, killed him. Now, if y'all watch some of my Saw videos on this channel, then you guys know I feel like Adam Stanheight is the Stu Macher of the Saw franchise. I don't think Adam Stanheight is dead. I don't. I always say it. Who's taking those pictures of everybody throughout the series? Adam is the only known photographer in the entire franchise that we know of. And those photos look like the same type of grade that he was having and that he used. The way the outline of the pictures came out. In my opinion, you have to have everybody come back. Dr. Gordon as well. I know Cary Elwes said that he's not involved with the project. No disrespect to Cary Elwes. I don't believe him. You know, he's had his issues with the franchise and he came back before. So whatever issue he may have with the franchise now, I'm sure if they brought him to the table, gave him a couple good dollars, maybe that could be the issue. Maybe it was an F. Campbell situation. I don't know. But maybe if they could sit him down, I mean, the movie's basically done filming. So I have to assume he's in it. I don't see how you do this legacy sequel without Cary Elwes because of what we got in Saw 7. We know for a fact that he's been involved with Jigsaw since Saw 2, basically. Since after the events of the original. He's been involved helping Jigsaw the entire way. So, man, like, I feel like if Saw X is going to be better than the original Saw, then that's the second thing that's going to have to pop off for me. Everybody has to come back because there's some loose ends you got to tie, in my opinion. I've said it before. I don't think Amanda really killed Adam. I personally think that might have been like a hallucination or a dream. And the reason why I say you can make it out as a hallucination is because when she's reading that letter from Hoffman, and he's talking about how she killed Adam, and he's going to tell John and all that stuff. You start seeing her having the flashbacks and all that stuff, you know. But what if they basically like retcon that shit? Basically, that never happened. In that moment, when she's reading the letter, she's seeing these flashbacks, but it never really happened. Because we all know that, Amanda did suffer from some mental health issues. So it's not impossible to think, especially in that type of situation where she's obviously in a high stress situation, reading this letter from Mark Hoffman saying he's going to out her to Kramer. You could definitely make up a point that in that moment she conjured up some hallucinations of killing Adam, but she never really did it. I definitely think that could be the case. I never thought that Amanda killed him. I never did. And the reason why, for those out there who will question me and say, why do you believe Adam is dead? I mean, not dead. Why do you believe that so heavily? The reason why I believe that so heavily is because John Kramer didn't let Dr. Gordon die, even though Adam tried to shoot him. He didn't let Dr. Gordon die. Why would he not give Adam a second chance? John Kramer was all about second and possible third chances, right? I mean, look how long Mark Hoffman was able to get away with what he got away with before subsequently Kramer made sure he put the hit out on him at the end. So it's not impossible to think, man. It's not impossible to think that Kramer gave Adam a second chance. I definitely do believe he gave Adam a second chance. That's just my opinion, though. You know what I mean? Because it goes back to those photos, y'all. Who took all those photos throughout the franchise? Not trying to say it wasn't Gordon. It damn sure wasn't Kramer. We know that. He was too sick. So who took the photos in the Saw franchise after the events of Saw 1? Again, the only photographer we've ever seen in this franchise is Adam Stanheimer. So, number 2 for me, if Saw X is going to be quote-unquote the best in the series, you got to have everybody in this mofo. Everybody's got to be here. Everybody's got to be in here. You can't half-ass it or quarter-ass it. You can't just have Dr. Gordon. You can't just have Jigsaw, Amanda, and Hoffman show up. If you're setting these events between Saw 1 and Saw 2, Adam Stanheimer and Dr. Gordon have to be there because they are a part. They're within that timeline. So, excuse me. So, my opinion, y'all, I definitely do think it's time, for Adam Stanheimer to make his long-awaited return. I think it will be revealed he's alive. And having everybody back from Saw 1 that could be alive and that is alive, that's number 2 reason why I think Saw X has the potential to be better than Saw the original. Now, number 3. Number 3, what's, in my opinion, what's going to make Saw X better than the original is the story. Where are we going story-wise? What direction are we headed? Are we going to end up tying in directly to 7? Are we going to tie in to Jigsaw? Because Logan's still out there. We know that. He counts. We know Logan is still out there. Are you going to tie it into Jigsaw? Or are you going to tie it into Spiral? And me personally, I would like to see them tied into Spiral. Because I felt like Spiral storytelling, in terms of connecting to the original timeline, was way better placed than Jigsaw's timeline with Logan. That's my opinion. I know some might feel differently because there's some that didn't like Spiral, what have you. I personally liked it a lot. I thought it was a good Saw movie. I know it's supposed to be a spinoff, but it's definitely a Saw movie. It definitely is. So, me personally, I would like to see this story kind of connect into the Spiral storyline. Now, I talked about it in a video, and I'm going to show it again in the video I have coming out later for Saw X or whatever. But there's this first look image of John Kramer from Saw X where he's sitting on the bench, and there's this young man standing in front of him. Maybe I want to say 11, 12 years old at the time, possibly. And just from the side view of the kid looks Hispanic. Now, I could be wrong. You know what I mean? Because you got to see his full face and obviously get his full details when we get to the movie. But just off that first look image alone, that kid, in my opinion, could potentially be William Shank. And the reason why I say that is because I always go back to the line in Spiral where Shank said to Zeke, Chris Rock's character, John Kramer was right. Spiral, the circle of change and all that stuff. And he's on his spew. But the key thing to pay attention to there is he said John Kramer was right. That sounds like somebody to me who had first-hand discussions with John Kramer. Excuse me real quick. I said at the beginning of the stream, I am on the road. I'm on my way to work. So, I'm going to be bypassing some vehicles, so you might hear some background noise a little bit. But anyway, Shank said to Zeke, John Kramer was right. That tells me, maybe anyway, the possibility that Shank had interactions with John Kramer. And the reason why I say that's possible is because we got to think about this, guys. Spiral came out in 2021, right? But it was originally supposed to come out in 2020. We all know why it got pushed back, because of the pandemic. But the story itself remained the same. It remained set in 2020. And the events for where Shank's dad was killed was 15 years before that. So do the math. 2005 is 15 years away from 2020. Why that is important is because Saw 2 came out in 2005. As we know, Saw 1 came out in 2004. So the timelines for Shank, Zeke Banks' father, Marcus Banks, the Spiral timeline fits in with the original timeline. And I think it fits in a lot better than Jigsaw's does. And the reason why I say that is because in 2005, Zeke Banks' dad, Marcus Banks, who was played by Samuel L. Jackson, he was a police chief at that time. He was the police chief. So he was the police chief when the original Jigsaw murders were happening. Now, could he been the chief police at the same precinct we saw Mark Hoffman work? No, he could have been on the other side of town. But he even knew about how difficult the Jigsaw cases were himself, because you even hear him say it to Zeke. Jigsaw copycat. That's going to be difficult. So that tells me that he has at least some knowledge on the Jigsaw killer, John Kramer, and how difficult it was to really solve that case. So me, again, personally, guys, I think that Spiral would really tie in well with this new Saw, or this Saw X would tie in real well with the events of Spiral. I've always said it. I want to know who helped Shank, because I don't think personally he did that all by himself, especially with the traps. Even if he made the traps by himself, in my opinion, he had to have some help with certain one of those traps, like hoisting up Samuel, all that dead weight, because we got to keep in mind, he sedated Samuel. stuck all them needles in him, was draining his blood. So Samuel, he was basically dead weight before he even died. So in order to even get him hunched up on the strings like that, Shank would have to have help. He didn't do that alone. And I always said that I felt like somebody from the past was working with Shank. So for me, number 3, how Saw X could be better than the original Saw is if you tie Saw X possibly into Spiral and you make this one big ass story that just makes a ton of sense. Because again, I think what's really going to be interesting in Saw X is seeing that interaction with that little boy that John Kramer has. And the reason why I bring that up, why it's not impossible that Shank and Kramer had a relationship, you got to keep in mind, John Kramer lost his son. So, and Shank lost his dad. Perfect parent. One lost the child, the other lost the parent. They're both in need of that sentimental person in their life. That person that might make them feel whole. That's why I feel like the dialogue from Shank and Spiral, when he says John Kramer was right, I think that dialogue definitely does show that he may have had some conversations with John Kramer. Now, this is all speculation and theory on me, but I think it's plausible, y'all. I really do. If you go back and rewatch Spiral, and even if you don't like the film, go back and rewatch it and just pay attention to certain things Shank says. And pay attention to that. And I think you might come away with it like, you know what? Maybe he did actually know who John Kramer was. Maybe he was somebody else in the background as well that we never knew about. And we know John Kramer is good at that. He's good at having people in the background we know nothing about. So it's going to be interesting to see. And as an honorary mention for what I want to see for Saw X or whatever, that could make it better than the original, in my opinion. Why it could make it original, why it could be better than the original, is if you also bring Jill Tuck back. Because she's a part of this timeline as well. And it's like I said about, my second reason. You got to bring everybody back. Everybody back that was involved between the timelines of 1 and 2, you got to bring them back. Hell, we might even see Eric Matthews in this mofo. Eric Matthews. He's around in this timeline too. People forgetting about that. Eric Matthews in this timeline that they're picking up on in the Saw franchise, Eric Matthews is alive. So is Carrie, the girl detective. So is Riggs. All those detectives that Mark Hoffman set up and killed, basically, they're alive in this timeline. So, guys, that would be nuts, right? Wouldn't that be crazy? As if in Saw X, we literally get everybody to come back. Everybody. I'm not just talking about Jigsaw. I'm not just talking about Amanda. I'm not just talking about Hoffman. I'm talking about Adam Stanheight, Officer Rigg, Officer Matthews, Officer Carey. All these characters. Hell, you might even see Officer Matthews' son. Remember, he was played, I forget the actor's real name, but remember, it was Robbie from Scream 4 who played his son. So, we could literally see everybody come back in this bitch. But I really would love to see Jill Tuck return. I liked her. She was such a loyal person to John, no matter what. Even if she didn't agree with how John was getting his revenge or going about grieving about losing their son, I always respected Jill because she remained loyal to that man. You don't find that too often in these days, you know what I mean? Or even in that time. Yo, what's up, Memo Boy? Thank you for stopping in. Memo Boy says, hey, Em, how's it going? Where are you heading to? I'm going to work, bro. I just figured I'd do an impromptu live stream real quick on my way in and stuff like that and try to answer some questions just in case anybody popped in, has some questions for me and stuff like that, because y'all know how these conversations with my live streams and stuff go. Sometimes I'm not able to get to all of you guys' conversations or some of you guys' questions. So I figured, you know what? I'm on my way to work. I was going to catch the transit, but you know what? Let me take a nice walk. It's a beautiful day outside. Let me see if I can, get an audience in here, answer some questions, and just go live for like 45 minutes an hour. You know what I mean? Before I head in here and, do the damn thing for 13 hours and stuff. So, but thank you for stopping in, Memo Boy. I appreciate that. Yeah, Memo Boy saying, I love Saw. I can't wait. Me neither, man. I think it's going to be really, really good. I really do. I think it's going to be really good. Oh, I'm going to cross the street real quick. All right. So we good now. But yeah, Memo Boy asks, what happened to Detective Hoffman? I forgot. Detective Hoffman at the end of Saw 7 got locked in the original bathroom from Saw 1 by Dr. Gordon. But he was never killed. He was just left there to rot and to die, basically. But I never thought that he died. I never thought that he died at all. I'm gonna head into the store real quick, guys. But yeah, I never thought that, Detective Hoffman died at the end of 7 at all. I really didn't. Like, he just got left there in that bathroom by Dr. Gordon to rot. Anybody could have got him out there. Hell, even Dr. Gordon could have came back for him if he felt like, he can repent himself, if you will. Hey, how you doing? Can I get a pack of Pink Divas? Hold on real quick, guys. I'm in the store. All right, so now I'm back. What's going on, XV Ryan? I'm about to pull up your comment here in a second. Thank you. All right, everyone. So now I'm back. Okay, so back to the conversation at hand. But yeah, that's what happened to Hoffman. Memo Boy, was that he got left in that bathroom, but he was never killed. He was just screaming like, what the fuck are you doing? Saying no, 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 and then the door shuts. So he's always been alive, even in that timeline to me. XV Ryan said, I have nightmares about being locked in that Saw 1 room. Yeah, man. Listen, it was a beautiful setting for that original, man. You just had it basically in one room. You flashed back to different locations throughout the story. I love the way that was orchestrated. And that bathroom, they did it up right. It's grungy, it's nasty, it looks creepy. The lighting was beautiful, it was perfect. I hope we get to see it again in this one. I really do. We'll see. Well, I would have to think it would be. If we're setting the events between Saw 1 and Saw 2, I'd have to think that bathroom is going to be showed in this film. Fuck around and it might end there again. It's going to be interesting. Thank you, Memo Boy. Man, work is work. I'd rather be at home putting in work on this channel. I'll just say that. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? Money's money. But thank you, Memo Boy. I appreciate that. All right, gentlemen, is there any questions that you guys want to ask me? Because I am about to end the stream here in a few minutes because I am getting close to work. I wanted to do an hour, but it just doesn't look like I'm going to be able to stretch it to that point. So if you guys have any questions you want to ask me about any movie, Saw, Halloween, Scream, whatever, hit the comment section and let me know what you guys are feeling. I'm going to be dropping my Saw video later too. Basically talking about everything I talked about a little bit at the beginning of this stream and stuff like that. About, this viewer anon post about a person from Lionsgate saying that the film is the best in the series. And, again, and I'm going to say it again in that video. I'm going to say it here too, though. That's promising, but it's coming from an executive. They're doing their job. They're supposed to promote the movie. So, Memo Boy asks, when will you stream again? I'm probably going to be streaming early tomorrow morning if I can. I want to try to make it on by at least 9:30. If I can make it on by 9:30, I'll go for like an hour and a half because I got to be ready to leave by 11:30. So if I can hop off at 11, get everything I need to ready for work, then I could go tomorrow morning early from like 9:30 to 11. That's my goal. That's my plan. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. That's Canva, bro. I found that on my editor. That's all on my Canva editor. It's crazy. I ain't gonna lie, man. Canva got some beats on that bad boy. They got some bangers, man. And that one to me though is called Cold. That's what that song that I use in my background is called. It's called Cold. And as soon as I saw the title of it, I was like, man, this gotta be fire. And as soon as I heard it, I said, oh man, because it gives you everything. It gives you that up-tempo beat a little bit, but it also gives you that strange sound like you're in a horror movie in the background. That's why I was like, yeah. And it's funny, and it should kind of make sense, but I found it under my hip-hop horror section on Canva. They have a section in the audio department where you can pick sounds, music, and all that is based off horror. So whoever did up that beat did a fantastic job because it's everything I could ask for. Like I said, you got the nice hip hop beat, the up tempo, that eerie down, that sound in the fucking back. Yeah, that shit it's tight. Thank you for that, Ryan. I love it too. Cold is a good soundtrack. That's a good question, Memo Boy. So real quick. So Memo Boy asked, did we have anything from Charlie in the Shrine? I believe his bloody shirt was there. If I can remember correctly. I think his bloody, button up was there. But outside of that, there wasn't really anything. He didn't have any pictures in the cases. Yeah, I think that was the only thing that was there of Charlie in that shrine. But the fact, that we got Charlie and Jill's mask, you got to count that because they use the same mask, apparently, at least in Radio Silence's, world. They use the same mask and stuff. We did get Charlie's mask at the bodega. And I always say this, why would you put Charlie Walker's name at the forefront? I mean, it's subtle, but everybody always puts Jill first. We know that. Out of the two, Jill is the grandiose. She's the most beloved one out of the two. So why would Radio Silence decide to put Charlie ahead of her? Like they made that a point, in my opinion. This is Charlie Walker's mask. I don't know, man. I think it's possible old boy's alive, man. I really do. He is one of the ones we did not get shot in the head. So I'm keeping it alive, Memo Boy. I'm gonna die on this hill. I am going to die on the Charlie is alive hill, for sure. This plane is gonna keep on flying, baby. This ain't going. We're not landing anytime soon. We're not landing until this bad boy basically just evaporates into thin air, and it doesn't happen. But as long as there's a possibility that one Charles Walker from Scream 4 is alive, I will be the pilot of this airplane, of this aircraft. So let's hope for it. I said it last night to Eric, and I always say it. I would love to see Charlie and Stu working together. Match made in heaven, if you ask me, especially in terms of personal vendettas and how their characters align in the franchise. Yeah. There's a lot of similarities between those two fellers. Okay, so Memo Boy asks, would you think if Kirby had to kiss Charlie, that he would not kill her. See, and this is just my opinion. I think all that shit was staged anyway. I think that Kirby and Charlie were already kind of fucking around. What you see transpiring for when Jill stabs Charlie, I think this is what happened. To just make it long story short, I think all three were working together. I think that when Jill stabs Charlie, she went rogue. She went into business for herself, as the wrestling fans would say. She went into business for herself. Kirby saw this. Now, one would ask, how did Kirby see this? Well, when Sydney is going back down to the basement, after Kirby gets stabbed, you hear somebody come through that door. It couldn't be Jill, it couldn't be Charlie, because they were both already upstairs. You hear somebody come through that back door. And what's even more interesting is you don't hear Kirby fall down. You don't hear her when Sydney says her name, Kirby. Kirby doesn't respond. Now, my whole thing is this. If you stabbing, if you got stabbed and you bleeding profusely like Kirby was, right? And you can make it to the door of your back, basically your downstairs basement, the back door, and you hear Sydney call your name. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say it's not going to be difficult to make noise. She might not even be able to say nothing because, she got stabbed in the gut. It might be hard for her to talk. But you can't make a noise. You can't something. There was complete silence. You heard the door open, and then you don't hear anything after that, really. Maybe a footstep. That's it. Or the door shut. So, and again, and I'm always going to go back to this because so far, nobody has been able to explain it to me yet. Why would she lie about the whole Wi-Fi and not being able to call 911 when we know for a fact that her cell phone can reach out to 911 regardless whether she has data or not? And when Charlie calls her phone, you see the Wi-Fi bars. That means the router was not smashed like she said it was. She lied. Why else would you lie if you're not involved? That just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? So, like I always say, if I'm Radio Silence and I'm looking to make a Scream movie and I'm looking to bring Kirby Reed back, but I'm looking to bring her back in a way that everybody doesn't expect, and that's turn her into a killer, I'm looking at these little scenes that I point out in Scream 4, and I'm piecing all this shit together because I think the evidence is there. I think the evidence is there that you can make a case Kirby was helping Jill and Charlie, man. That's just my take. And I think Kirby, like I said, Kirby liked Charlie already. Like, people have this connotation that Kirby only kissed Charlie because she was drunk. That's not the truth. If you look at throughout the entire movie, specifically Stabathon, when Charlie and Robbie make their speech and then they get off the stage and they're about to walk to the back, Kirby is eyeball fucking the shit out of Charlie. She was eyeballing him up and down. Like, she liked Charlie the whole time. She was just trying to act like she didn't. So, me personally, man, I think Kirby and Charlie, they were already, you know what I mean, kind of, together, if you will. But, for the sake of the movie, obviously, they try to make it seem like Kirby wasn't that into Charlie, when that wasn't the case. So, regardless to what, I think Kirby kisses Charlie regardless, and I think her stabbing was staged. That's just me. You know what I mean? Like, that's just my thoughts on it. And it makes sense, especially because it wouldn't be the first time we've seen ghost faces stab each other to try to make themselves look like a victim. Like, it's going to be interesting, man. I think it's there. I do. But I also understand that they might not be going in that direction with Kirby Reed, and that they just made her look like a massive red herring in Scream 6. Because we all got to understand, Wes didn't intend to make Kirby look like a suspect, like as an unrevealed killer, like I think she is in Scream 4. He didn't intend for that. But when you go back and watch it and really deep dive it the way I think about it, You know what I mean? And again, that's just the way I see it and the way I look at it. You know what I mean? I definitely do think there's something there. But in Scream 6, the biggest thing for me with Kirby is that fucking phone call, man. When her and Bailey are looking at the Ghostface board, she gets a phone call, and her phone is the only phone that we don't get to see who's calling her. And then she leaves the room to take that phone call. It's like something's not right there, man. Something's not right there at all. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I hope they do it. You talk about taking a risk. You talk about taking a risk. That would be a pretty big risk, right? I mean, listen, I know a lot of people don't want to see Radio Silence undo some things that Wes doesn't want undone. But for the sake of getting different and shaking shit up, sometimes we just got to let go and let God handle that. Like, we always say it. We want shit shaken up. We want something different. Even if it's with the same character, we want to see something different for this character, right? What better way by making that character different than by completely stripping her of everything we thought about her and revealing her to be something that we never thought would happen? And that's a mastermind Ghostface killer that was involved since Scream 4. I like it. That's taking a risk. The reason why it's taking a risk because you might upset some people doing that. Because people love Kirby Reed. And I understand that. I love Kirby Reed too. But I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I think I love Kirby Reed being a killer more than actually being a final girl. It's interesting to me. So it's gonna be fun to watch, man. I can't wait for it. I cannot wait. Hopefully we get some news soon. I have a feeling by like October-ish, that's when we're going to get our first real big Scream 7 news, like on what's happening. When are they going to start filming? Who's going to be in it? When is it going to most likely be predicted to be released? I think around Halloween time is when we're going to start getting some answers. That's just my opinion, though. Thank you, Memo Boy. And Memo Boy asks, now in 5, when Amber was saying to Sam about her mother, and she was a drunk, and everybody knows she was Billy's daughter, it's weird that Tara didn't know it. Honestly, I mean, I used to really be heavy on that too, you know, on that piece of dialogue from Amber. However, we know Amber's a liar. We know that for a fact. I mean, I respect anybody who does believe that she killed Dewey. Hey, if that's what you feel, and you want to believe Radio Silence when they say that, hey, good. You know what I mean? Hey, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hate on you for it. I'm just saying the physics and the optics, in my opinion, do not match up. And she lies. If she lied about killing Dewey, she'll lie about anything. And that's the thing too, right? So this is the thing we got to think about. If what Amber said was true, that her mom's a drunk and everybody knew, how didn't Dewey really know? Like, or at least it came off with the implication that he didn't know who Samantha was anyway. It came off that way. Maybe we'll find out in 7 he did know who she was all along. I don't know. But I feel like, and this is another thing, right? So if Samantha's mother is going around town saying that Billy Loomis is Samantha's father, right? So then that means, in my opinion, that means that Chad and Mindy would have to know, right? Because they didn't know that. Because you even see when Sam gets them together, she tells them, I have to tell you guys something, a secret or whatever, however she words it. So they had no clue that she was Billy Loomis's daughter, at least, you know, from the implication of it. So me personally, unless we get something else revealed in, you know, Scream 7, you know, that maybe Amber was telling the truth, I don't think she was in that moment, Memo Boy. I really don't. I just think she was talking shit. Like she did so well in that final act scene. She talked a lot of bullshit. Fucking Amber. And see, when people, I think when people hear me talk about Amber, they think I don't like her. It's not that I don't like her as a character. You know what I mean? She was okay. It's not that I don't like her as a Ghostface for the stuff that she actually did. She was actually pretty decent. She was a whack job. I like that about her. But she didn't kill Dewey. And when you start lying and saying shit you and taking credit for shit you didn't do, that's where you lose me. Just like with Quinn. Oh, I stabbed Gail. No, you didn't. You did not stab Gail. You did not pick up her boyfriend and throw him through that wall like that. It's not physically possible. It just isn't. So we'll see, man. This is all going to be interesting. This is all going to be interesting once we get there. Yeah, absolutely. I think she's just, I just think she's lying, Memo Boy. I really don't think anything Amber said was true about everybody in town knew and all that stuff, because like you asked, if that was the case, right, Tara would have knew, because somebody would have asked Tara about it. Somebody would have said something to Tara about that, especially the friends group. Like, that would make no sense unless the only way it would make any sense at all that Tara knew and didn't tell Samantha is because she's been a Ghostface the whole time herself. And maybe she's working with their mother. Maybe she's working with Stu. I don't know. But that's the only way that could work about Tara, quote unquote, not knowing that Sam was Billy's daughter, is if she does, and we just haven't got that revealed yet. But outside of that, I don't know. I don't know at all, man. It's going to be interesting. Now, see, this is what also is interesting that you brought that up, Memo Boy, and I'm going to hang out for a couple more minutes before I end the stream. Actually, I can stretch it to an hour, so I'm going to stretch these last 8 minutes or whatever. But what's interesting is the fact that Tara and Amber were so close. You can make at least the argument that maybe Amber did tell Tara, and Tara has just been playing Sam this whole time. Anything is possible. I don't personally believe that to be true. I personally would like to see Samantha be revealed as the mastermind and Tara be like the official final girl. But given what we saw in Scream 6, especially with Tara killing Ethan the way she did, and the way she let out that laugh, bro, I don't know, man. I don't know if I trust Tara so much anymore. Yeah, she got a little demon in her ass. Like, it's crazy. So it's going to be interesting to see, man. I will not lie to y'all. I was really shocked the way that Tara reacted after killing Ethan. I did not see that coming. But when I saw that little chuckle let out, and she's all like heavy breathing and all that, I'm like, oh man. I said, okay. She got some shit to her too. And I know ever since that happened, given on the way that she killed Ethan with both hands on the knife, raised above her head, we know who that is. People are out there now starting to speculate that Stu could be her dad. He could actually be Mr. Carpenter, the illustrious Mr. Carpenter that we have not met yet. And hey, do I think it's a little bit out there? Yes. And the reason why I think it's out there is because we got to think about it like this, guys. If Stu is Tara Carpenter's father, right? Let's just go with this, connotation that he is. You would have to think they lived in Woodsboro the whole time. Now, the only way Stu would be able to get away with his identity is if he had plastic surgery or went through a dramatic change, like facial-wise. He would be too noticeable in Woodsboro for him to be Tara's father. So that's why I kind of lean towards that it's not the case. But, excuse me, you never know. We'll see. I mean, but I don't know, guys. Like, I will say this. Tara and Mindy, out of the core four, I mean, I still have my reservations about Sam. There's no doubt about that. But I'm talking about from this new film, out of the core four, who looked the most suspicious to me was Samantha and Mindy. Tara and Mindy. Was Tara and Mindy. Because with Tara, with the Ethan scene, and then Mindy, how did you know that Ethan and Bailey were the killers when you just said at the train station you got it wrong because you got stabbed and Ethan was trying to help you? Which made absolutely no sense at all, but okay. But how did she know? And then Samantha, before Quinn was revealed, she thought it was Mindy. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I will say this. I don't think it'd be impossible that they would turn a Meeks into a killer. You know, there's a lot of people who wanted Randy to turn out to be a killer. There's been people out there who wanted that. You know, so maybe they're going to do it with one of the twins. I would assume it would be what's her name? Mindy over Chad. I think Chad's the new Dewey type character. I don't think they would do that. I think if any of them two are going to be a killer, it's going to be Mindy. That's just my opinion. What's up, Adrian K? You're coming in at the last minute. I'm actually going to end it here in about 4 minutes or whatever once we get to the hour mark because I got to start work and all that good stuff. But thank you for popping in. It's nice seeing you. I hope you're having a good afternoon. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Scream 7 plays out. I say it because I want the consistency to stay there. I know some people don't like Radio Silence's writing. So if we do get new writers, I understand that. I'm okay with that. But I would at least like Radio Silence, the directors, to come back just for that consistency with the characters. I don't want somebody else doing something with these characters that might differ from what we got in 5 and 6. Because I think 6 was a good jump for our characters in terms of maturation and us getting to like them and getting to know them, etc., etc. You know, we all talked about 5, you know, what's up, buddy? We all talked about 5, you know what I mean, how it wasn't that, you know, in terms of character development, it wasn't that great. You know what I mean? So in 6, we definitely think it's a lot better character development, especially with Samantha Carpenter. So I would hope that Radio Silence, if not the writers, Guy and James, you know what I mean, if they don't come back, I would hope Radio Silence does because I don't want nobody else fucking with their characters. But I will say this about Guy Busick. If I'm not mistaken, or whatever one of the writers, I want to say it's Guy, one of them wants Stu Macher back, which is why I know people don't really like the writing that these guys put forth in 2 films. But if you're a Stu truther, like I am, and like many of us are, that, you know, watch this channel and show up in the chat, you kind of got to keep them, in my opinion, unless you get somebody else who's going to write the story that's a Stu truther as well. So that's, I think at the end of the day, I think it's going to shape itself out, and I think Radio Silence and the writers will be back. But that's just my opinion. Hey, what's going on, Andrew McCod? How you doing? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I know sometimes the H can be silent in certain names, so that's why I pronounce it that way. But hey, I'm glad to see you here. Unfortunately, I am about to end the stream here in a couple short minutes. I have to go to work. I actually walked into work so I could do this stream or whatever and have some time to get some of you guys' questions in and all that stuff. So unfortunately, I am going to have to end it here in like the next 2 minutes. Oh, you're good, Adrian. And yeah, sure. Adrian, do you have an Instagram? If not, Adrian, if you don't have Instagram, this is what you do. At the end of the stream, if you're comfortable with it, leave your email in the chat box, and I'll copy and paste it. I'll delete it real quickly if you don't want anybody having your email and stuff like that. And then I'll send you an email from my email account if you don't have an Instagram. That's right, Dom. That's right. Dominant Sinclair Studios. Yup. Stu is coming back. I believe so. But I also believe if we get an entire new team in terms of writers and directors, it might hurt that possibility a little bit. That's just my opinion. But fingers crossed, if it does happen that way where we get new directors, new writers, fingers crossed, we still get Stu. I'm not doing too bad, Andrea. I really wish that I mean, I'm assuming, I don't know if you're talking to anybody else in the chat, but if you are talking to me, I'm not doing too bad. Just about to head into work. I really wish that I could, you know, stream a lot longer. You know what I mean? But fortunately, I can't right now. I mean, I do want to test out something here at work. What I want to be able to test out. I mean, you guys are going to probably hear background noise, but what I'm thinking about doing is one of these days is doing a live stream while I'm working and just keep the camera off. Keep the camera off. And then if you guys do send super chats in and stuff, I'll make sure that I'm keeping up with everything because I'm good at multitasking. And my job, like, I keep up on these damn dishes. So I have some good time for myself. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. But I'm thinking about doing that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm thinking about having a live stream while I am at work. You know what I mean? And just keep the camera off. Try my best to not have as much background noise so you guys ain't hearing the machine going off and all that. I'll test it out. I'll see how it works. Maybe we'll do it for one day, see how it works. If you guys like it, if you guys are okay with a little bit of noise in the background and stuff like that, then maybe I can stream while I'm at work with just the camera off. Okay, so Scott Walker says, I think that there's going to be a two-part, so we return to Woodsboro at the end of part one. At the end, and we see Stu's house, we see a lone figure looking at the house, taste of honey off, and it's Stu. See, I don't think that they're going to do any revealing of Stu Macher until he's actually revealed. That's my issue. I feel like if they show him being anything other than the reveal of a killer, that's going to spoil the surprise. Now, if you drop little hints and little Easter eggs like bringing back his house, okay, I can accept that. But even if you do that, in my opinion, by taking it back to Woodsboro, if you have it feature his house, I definitely do think that you're already blatantly showing that Stu is going to be alive just by doing that. Or maybe that somebody close to Stu is the one behind it. So, and I hope that wouldn't be the case, but I don't know, Scott. I'm personally, I want things wrapped up in the dark. I don't want to see anything about Stu. I like the way they've been leaving these little breadcrumbs. It's subtle. It's not over revealing. It's just enough to keep us talking and to keep us hinting, to keep us speculating. And that's what I want for the next film. Even if you're going to bring Stu back, that's what I want. I want the speculation. I don't want it just to be automatically revealed like, hey, Stu's back, by dropping bombs like that. I think if you would do that, that's dropping a bomb. You know what I mean? Like having a loan shark in front of Stu Macher's house and then you reveal it to be Stu, even if it is at the end of 7. I would love to see Stu this time around take off the mask because we didn't get to see that in the original with him or Bill. So that's the type of reveal I would want. But that's just me. Okay. So, okay, everyone, I am going to wrap it up here now. I do have to get into work. But everybody that did, pop into the stream for a little bit, I know for the first 15, 20 minutes, I didn't have anybody in. And that's my fault. You know what I mean? I just mentioned it last night that I was going to have a little live stream this morning. I should have did a better job of, pushing that out there. But I did wake up late and I was just kind of rushing. I just want to get to it and stuff. But everybody that did stop into the chat, thank you so much for coming in and showing your support. This was definitely a great conversation, and I'm going to see you guys later. Like I said, I hope my plan is that I'm going to test. My apologies. I actually pressed the wrong button. I am on my cell phone, so don't mind me. That will happen from time to time, me trying to operate this thing. But I am going to try to test it out here at work. Like I said, I'll do a stream where I'll keep the camera off. I'll be working, but I'll also be multitasking, getting you guys' comments and stuff. We'll test it out for a day, and if you guys are okay with it, then maybe I'll start doing some more of that while I'm at work on the weekends and stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll see how it all shapes out. Absolutely, Member Boy. Great to chat with you, Ems. See you soon. Yes, absolutely. We will see each other soon, my friend. For sure. And Scott, I work at a restaurant in my city called The Cove. And I do ceramic sanitation. Yes, I don't call it dishwashing because it's ceramic sanitation. That's what it is. It's a grueling job. It is. It's easy in concept, but it's a grueling job because you're always moving. You're constantly doing shit. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is what it is. It puts money on the table. You know what I mean? And stuff. And it, coincides well with my YouTube schedule now that I'm on a certain schedule. So, hey, and I like my employees. I like who I work with. People here are great. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I really don't have much to complain about. All right, everybody, I am going to get out of here. I do have to get in here and all that stuff. So, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. I will catch you guys later. And, yeah, just stay tuned for more content. I will be having that Saw video drop out later. And like I said, hey, you never know if maybe later I might go on for a live stream, here later. If I do decide to, I'll make sure I do a community post maybe like an hour or two before I do it and stuff like that. But most likely I won't, but we'll see. We'll see. But just stay tuned for the community tabs for all content updates. If you don't have your notifications turned on, get the notifications turned on. Smash that bell icon so you get notified of all the latest content updates here to the channel. Okay, everyone. Again, have a great day. I will catch y'all later.
You are now watching I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube Horror Movie Channel.
I Shot Him 6 Times